Hello and welcome to this special edition of Question Hour on Rajya Sabha television, wherein we bring you some important questions asked by the members of parliament and responded to by the government earlier on the floor of the House. I'm Vishal Dahiya and with me is my colleague Kriti Mishra.
Thank you so much, Vishal. So let's commence the Question Hour show. And the first question that we've picked up, and this one pertains to the Ministry of Corporate Affairs. Whether there is any central law for banning Ponzi schemes in India.
Well, the government in its response to this question says that Ministry of Finance, Department of Financial Services has informed that the banning of unregulated deposit scheme Ordinance 2019 was promulgated by the Honourable President on 21st of February 2019 and it came into effect on the same day. Now, the ordinance was promulgated to protect poor and gullible people of being duped by illicit deposit schemes launched by rapacious operators by altogether banning unregulated deposit schemes, and it also has adequate provisions for punishment and disgorgement or repayment of deposits in cases where such schemes nonetheless manage to raise deposits illegally. Further, the Prize Chits and Money Circulation Schemes Banning Act 1978 is an act to ban the promotion or conduct of prize chits and money circulation schemes. The government says that Investor Educator and Protection Fund Authority organizes investor awareness programs in the rural areas through common service centers set up under Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology with the objective of creating awareness amongst the investors about fraudulent schemes and facilitating informed investment decisions. Now, the IAPs cover various topics such as importance of savings, basic of capital market, do's and don'ts of investment, etc., including one module on basic information about Ponzi schemes and how not to fall prey to such schemes. Further, in addition to this, the authority also carries out investor awareness and education through electronic media. Now, CSEs have conducted 26,409 programs for IEPF authority since beginning of financial year 2018-19. At present, no specific campaign is under consideration in respect of Ponzi schemes. Ministry of Corporate Affairs also organizes investor awareness programs in partnership with the three professional institutes, namely Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, Institute of Company Secretaries of India and Institute of Cost Accountants of India, with the objective of creating awareness amongst the investors about fraudulent schemes and facilitating informed investment decisions. The next question is addressed to the Ministry of Corporate Affairs, and this one has been asked by member A. Vijay Kumar, who wants to know about the number of shell companies which have been delisted in the last 3 years.
The government in its response says that listed companies are governed or regulated by stock exchanges and SEBI, and the listing or delisting processes are carried out by the stock exchanges. The term shell company is not defined in the Companies Act 2013. It normally refers to a company without active business operation or significant assets, which in some cases are used for illegal purpose such as tax evasion, money laundering, obscuring ownership or benami properties. The special task force was set up to look into the issues of shell companies, has recommended the use of red flag indicators as alerts for identification and strike off of shell companies. The government has undertaken special drive for identification and strike off of such unlisted companies under 248(1) of the Companies Act 2013, read with companies, removal of names of companies from the Register of Companies Rules 2016, amended Rules 2019, which had not filed their financial statements or annual returns for a continuous period of 2 immediate preceding financial years. The Companies Act does not distinguish the companies for striking off as holding and subsidiary company. During the financial year 2017-18, 2018-19, the registrars of companies have removed the names of 2,26,166 companies and 1,12,797 companies respectively from the register of companies by following the due process of law. Moving on to the next question asked by member T.K. Rangarajan, and this one is to the Ministry of Communications. And Mr. Rangarajan has asked about the details of telecom companies that have gone into insolvency proceedings recently.
Well, the Ministry of Communications in its response to this question says that Messrs ASL Group of Companies, Messrs Reliance Communication Group of Companies and Messrs Videocon Group of Companies are under Corporate Insolvency Resolution Process CIRP under Insolvency Bankruptcy Code 2016. It further says no spectrum is held by Messrs Videocon In respect of Messrs. ASL, the companies have filed miscellaneous applications 336 and 337 of 2018 in CP 298 and 302 of 2018, seeking to restrain the Department of Telecommunication from terminating the license and revoking the spectrum. The Honorable National Company Law Tribunal has ordered DOT to maintain status quo and not take any coercive action. The DOT has filed affidavits rejecting the averments of Messrs. ASL and has submitted that the spectrum and license are liable to be revoked, terminated on failure to make payments. The matter is sub judice. In respect of spectrum assigned to Reliance Group of companies, legal opinion and options are being examined as of now. The outcome of CIRP legal processes will determine the financial implications for the government in respect of these companies. In cases of unused spectrum, the revenue share of the government accruing from spectrum usage charges, that is SUC, and license fees is reduced. Well, the next question is by member Jose K. Mani, and this one is addressed to the Ministry of Communications, wherein the member wants to know from the government whether there has been a widespread complaint from video callers that their video calls freeze and drop so often due to poor fibre connectivity and low intercity fibre infrastructure across the country.
The government in its response says that in mobile networks, more data speed is required for making video calls, and that is possible on 3G and 4G only. And as on 1st of June 2019, there are 5,25,007 numbers of 2G base transceiver stations and 3,57,805 numbers of 3G and 12,62,841 numbers of 4G BTS in the country. Various telecom service providers fibrize their network for specific power sites. As per details provided by telecom service providers, about 31% of TSP sites have been connected to fibre network in the country. The infrastructure and equipment used for providing mobile communications belongs to various telecom service providers, and the decisions regarding providing connectivity to the TSP sites through fibre or through other means is taken based on various techno-commercial considerations, including network capacity required at that particular site or tower. As per details provided by TSP's total number of 2,19,449 TSP sites out of 7,06,948 TSP sites have been fiberized so far. TRAI has issued the standards for quality of service for basic wireline and cellular mobile telephone services, 5th Amendment Regulations 2017, effective from 1st of October 2017. However, there is no separate category for video call drop complaints. Data for fiberization of mobile towers for other countries is not maintained by the government. However, the National Digital Communications Policy announced by the Department of Telecommunications aims at implementation of a fibre-first initiative to take fibre to the home. Industry associations have provided various suggestions and proposed solutions for facilitating fibre to the tower program to enable fiberization at least 60% of telecom towers, thereby accelerating migration to 4G or 5G services. Under BharatNet, which is one of the biggest rural telecom projects of the world, a total of 1,28,870 gram panchayats have been connected by optical fibre cable by laying 3,37,515 kilometers OFC as on 13th of June 2019. Moving on to the next question asked to the Ministry of Human Resource Development, and this one has been asked by member Mahesh Poddar. And Mr. Poddar has asked whether it is a fact that a large part of rural areas of the country is not aware about the implementation of Right to Education Act 2009.
Well, the response of the Human Resource Development Ministry to this question is negative, and it further says that Section 8 of the Right of Children to Free and Compulsory Education, that is RT Act 2009, mandates the appropriate government to provide free and compulsory elementary education to every child of the age of 6 to 14 years in a neighbourhood school. As defined in Section 2A of the RT Act 2009, the central government is the appropriate government only in relation to a school established, owned or controlled by the central government or the union territory having no legislature. In other states, state and union territory governments are the appropriate governments in relation to a school established within the territory of a state or union territory having legislature respectively. Also, Section 10 of the RT Act 2009 stipulates the duty of every parent or guardian to admit or cause to be admitted his or her child or ward, as the case may be, to an elementary education in the neighbourhood school. In order to provide free and compulsory elementary education, 97.15% habitants, including rural areas, are served by primary schools within a radius of 1 kilometer, and 96.49% habitations, including rural areas, are served by upper primary schools within a radius of 3 kilometers, as per information provided by states and union territories in 2018-19. Ministry says that the remaining 3% habitations are largely remote or sparsely populated, which do not qualify for opening of schools as per neighbourhood norms and are covered through residential schools, hostels and transport and escort facility as per provisions of the RT Act 2009. Well, the next question is also to the Ministry of Human Resource Development, and this one has been asked by member B.K. Hariprasad, who wants to know from the government whether it is a fact that the JEE mains exam paper is available in English, Hindi and Gujarati languages.
The response given by the government is in affirmative, and the government says that candidates appearing in the joint entrance examination main in the state of Gujarat and union territories of Daman and Diu, Dadar Nagar and Haveli have the options to select the medium of question papers from English, Hindi or Gujarati languages. This option has been made available since joint entrance examination main 2013 in accordance with a notification dated 14th of August 2012 issued by the ministry, which stipulates that in any case, any state opts to admit students in the engineering colleges affiliated to state universities, where states require separate merit lists to be provided based on the relative weightages adopted by the state, then the merit list shall be prepared with relative weightages as many as indicated by the states. The examination will be conducted in the regional language on the express request of the concerned state. Moving on to the last question of this episode, and this one has been asked by member Satyanarayan Jatia, and this one is also to the Ministry of Human Resource Development. And Mr. Jatia has asked the details of improvement in education level, provisions for compulsory education and share of total budget for education and funds allocated for the purpose at various levels for general public for the financial year 2019-20.
Well, the Ministry of HRD, in response to Mr. Jetia's question, says that the Unified District Information System for Education, that is UDISE, and All India Survey on Higher Education available on websites reveal that the number of students in schools and higher education institutes, as well as the number of schools and higher education institutes, have increased significantly. An integrated scheme, that is Samagru Shiksha, has been launched by Department of School Education and Literacy. It ensures provisioning of quality education and enhancing learning outcomes of students, bridging social and gender gaps in school education, ensuring equality and inclusion at all levels of school education, ensuring minimum standards in schooling, promoting vocationalization of education, supporting states and union territories in implementation of Right of Children to Free and Compulsory Education Act 2009, and provides for free and compulsory education to every child of age 6 to 14 years in a neighborhood school till the completion of elementary education in all states and union territories except Jammu and Kashmir. Lastly, the ministry says that in the financial year 2019-20, the total budget allocation for Department of School Education and Literacy and Department of Higher Education is 56,536.63 crore rupees and 38,317.01 crore rupees respectively. So, Kriti, that's all we have for our viewers in this episode of Question Hour.
That's right, Vishal, Prashnkal with our colleagues Kriti Singh and Arvind Singh on the other side. Stay tuned.